Welcome back to Where You At, the podcast where we explore presence, purpose, and the paths that young professionals take as they figure it all out. I'm your host, Taylor Anthony. Today, I'm sitting down with Kennedi Hewitt. She is a 24-year-old NBC page, currently based in New York City. She was born and raised in Los Angeles, where she went to earn her bachelor's degree at Loyola Marymount University, and then her master's at Northwestern University's Medill School of Journalism. Go Cats! You can see I'm repping them already. And that's where she and I first met. In this episode, Kennedi opens up about her move to New York, the demanding yet rewarding experience of being an NBC page, and how she's finding her footing in a fast-paced city and industry. We talk about the challenges of long hours working, the importance of building community, and what it takes to build resilience while also chasing your dreams. Kennedi, welcome to my Where You At podcast. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm so excited. I'm so happy we were able to finally make this work. I know you just celebrated a birthday. So how have you been since recently turning 24 in the Big Apple?
I feel like every birthday people are like, oh, do you feel any older? But 24 was the first time I woke up and I felt like a shift. I just felt like 23 was such a transitional year, like leaving Chicago, moving back home, and then moving from home to New York, and then also just transitioning to this new role. And so, like, going into 24, I'm just going to be a lot more intentional about taking more time for myself.
As you
And
should.
like, I'm trying to like decorate a little bit more. I'm keeping flowers. I've got a little bar.
Yes, your New York studio. Yes. Is it treating you all right? I know you've been so intentional about making it more homey and just, loving your space a bit more, right?
Yeah. Like, you saw my Chicago apartment, literally had a bed, a coffee table, a couch, and a desk.
The necessities to get you through.
Yeah, and I feel like I treated it like I was staying in Chicago for a year and that was it, and at first I was kind of treating my New York apartment the same way,
Mm-hmm.
but now that I know I'm going to re-sign my lease, and now that I know I'll be here for another year, I'm trying to, like you said, make it more homey,
Yeah. I feel like you have to.
that I'm just, like, excited to come home to at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, how has New York been? I mean, the fact that it's been almost a year since you moved there. Isn't that crazy how fast time is going?
Yeah.
Gosh, how has the city been? You got your first New York summer coming, we're coming off of the summertime and everything.
You know I think the summer went by fast because I didn't do anything, like, my last rotation was from, like, 1 to 9 p.m. Um,
You're right.
like, leaving work at 9 o'clock, all of the, like, festivities that my coworkers, my friends were doing, that's over with, so I just go home. But what I'm excited for is the fall, like, that's my favorite season. There's, like, a lighter breeze in the air, it's still kind of sunny.
Yeah, almost silk press season.
Colors. Then I can get my silk press back, I can feel more like myself. I can't believe it's almost been a year. I feel like that was, like, the fastest year of my life. I mean, even
Yeah.
Chicago felt shorter, but I'm really excited for these final few months. I feel like that's what's going to, like, turn it all around.
Yeah, as you enter into this kind of next chapter of your career, which we will get into soon. But I did want to say it's funny that you ended up in New York City because, well, I think you came to visit me here in Buffalo right before you had gotten, your current job. So it's like I've been still in New York. Yeah, that's right. You were doing your interviews for the job, and then hey, you got hired. So maybe I had some good luck aura in the air here. So I remember coming home from work because when you came to visit, I was still working mornings. So I got off 12:30 or whatever. I came home and you're like in your interview session. I'm like, oh, let me just let her do her thing. But no, it's funny that you ended up being we're both in New York. I'm in a different part of New York, but you being in the city, we're so close, but still so far away.
So very far.
What's also kind of funny is the fact that, we only met, well, I guess it's going on 2 years ago now, but we met in grad school at Northwestern, but I feel like I've known you so much longer than that. So it's really funny how those types of things work.
Oh, definitely. Even when I was, like, planning to go visit you in Buffalo, I just had this moment where I thought, "How crazy is it that I met Taylor a year ago, and our
Mhm.
friendship has grown to this point where I'm flying across the country to visit her.
At that time, you were coming all the way from LA to come and visit your girl here in Buffalo, so I was so thankful. For those of you who don't know, Kennedi and I met while we were in grad school at Northwestern's Medill School of Journalism, so we were both living in Chicago at the same time. And we became friends, I feel like, in the very beginning of the program. I remember, like, the first few days, I was like, oh, who's that girl? You know, she seems nice. She seems quiet. But then I don't even know what got us, like, talking. But eventually, we started talking. We started hanging out. We became friends.
Yeah, and Taylor's repping, I'm also repping.
Yes. Go Cats, right? Isn't that what they say? I know it's only a year, but, we're still alum.
I
So,
take a lot of
yes, go
pride in
Cats.
being Northwestern a lot.
I thought this sweatshirt was only fitting for our interview today, so.
Yeah. I think our first, like, pictures with each other were wearing that same sweatshirt.
Yes, you're right. We went to the football game. Yep, you're 100%
A
right.
year
And
ago, actually, I think today is homecoming.
the homecoming weekend, yeah, no, I think you're right. And what's also funny is we joked about, oh, we're twinning, but little did we know the rest of that school year, people would actually think we were either the same person, we were sisters, we were related, like some way, shape, or form, they got us confused. We have a lot of similarities, a lot of, in terms of, short, petite black girls. I don't know. Maybe from the outside looking in, it's different, but I don't know. We do maybe favor each other a little bit.
Yeah, I never really saw it. I think it really was just like that first glance. These two
Hmm.
girls are always sitting with each other. Sometimes
Yeah, we were
show up
really
to
close.
class wearing the same thing by accident. And
Right. Same colors, same something. You're right. You're 100% right. And then honestly, I know even just like looking back at things and I'm like, okay, we did kind of look, we could be, if not sisters, at least cousins or something. I see it. I see it. But, first, Kennedi, obviously, I've gotten to know you very well, but tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you went to school.
all right. I'm from Los Angeles, California, Inglewood to be specific. Went to college in Los Angeles. I went to Loyola Marymount University, literally 10 minutes down the street from where I grew up. I studied English and journalism, minored in African American studies. During my time at LMU, I did a few news internships with NBC. I did a year with Dateline, and then another academic year with the LA Bureau, where I was pretty much just helping out with their nightly news coverage or anything else that they needed help with. And at LMU, the journalism program was so new. Like, we didn't really have like a broadcast like specialization. It was
Mm-hmm.
mostly print. And I was on the newspaper as well, that at the time was just beginning to dabble into video. So all of my experience had been in print. And I realized very quickly at my internships that I had no idea what was going on. Writing for television is so much different than
Mm-hmm.
writing for paper. And I was such like a wordy writer. And every time I
Mm-hmm.
tried to write a script, it would just um it would make it very challenging to kind of like understand maybe the edits that they were trying to get.
Yeah. And to making it for TV, right? Making that writing for TV.
Exactly. And so I had applied to some master's programs just to kind
Mm-hmm.
of have that option while also looking for jobs, and got into Medill. And I was like still trying to figure out like which program I wanted to do. Like, there was one in California, there was one in DC, and
Mm-hmm.
then there was one in Medill. And after all of the advice I had been given by producers at my internship, and then also just like the people in my life encouraging me to try do new things,
Yeah.
we went ahead with Medill, very happy I did. I love Chicago. I saw
Yes. I fell in
Cameron
love with
there.
Chicago too.
And so, yeah, went to Medill, decided to specialize in video and broadcast journalism, which was exactly the experience I was hoping to get. Very first class with Karen, we were learning how to write for television, and
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of faced again with that learning curve. But it's the training that I was looking for, so can't complain.
Yeah, no, I feel like I was in a very similar situation coming out of undergrad. It was kind of like I knew I wanted to pursue, a career in media and most likely in television, but I was like kind of faced with, well, first I was faced with, do I want to be on camera or do I want to be behind the scenes? Because I remember telling you that I had an offer with Tegna, which is, like a parent company of local television stations across the country. They have a producer in residence program, which essentially is a program that, fast tracks you to learning everything you need to know to be a TV producer in general. So, I had that option coming out of my senior year at John Carroll. And then I also was faced with a part of me also wants to explore, what it would be like to be on air as well. And, traditionally speaking, if you start your career working behind the scenes, I feel like making that transition from, let's say producing to on air as, reporter or whatever that looks like, I feel like it's a little bit harder to go from that. So I was also faced with, well, first, do I, start my career behind the scenes and try to transition, or do I just jump right in and go and do this master's program that will hopefully teach me everything I need to know to make that jump to then pursuing a career on air. So I was like, do I, do this master's program? A lot of people are like, oh, you don't need your master's degree to do, XYZ. And which I'm sure, I know a lot of people go, they do their 4 years and then they enter the industry. I know that's not uncommon. But I needed something, and I'm sure you is what felt the same, that was gonna kind of set me apart or kind of teach me and fill in all the gaps that I maybe didn't have from undergrad, because my undergrad also wasn't necessarily a big, journalism school. I kind of learned like the foundation, the basics. I was doing a lot of print writing, but in no way would I have been prepared to enter, even speaking of where I'm at now, without what the skills and the knowledge that I gained at Medill, that hands-on experience.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people, when it comes to master's programs, there are lots of
Mhm.
disciplines where you go and get your master's when you're taking like a leap in your career or when you're trying to
Mhm.
get to the next level. I feel like journalism is so different. Like the first difference is that we're all like kind of on the younger side. Like
Mhm.
obviously there's no like age limit, but our cohort, we were all within like 2, 3 years of each other,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I
Most of us, either, if not coming straight from undergrad, they'd only been out of undergrad for maybe a year or two, or, for the most part.
yeah, and, like, that's not necessarily the norm with a lot of master's programs, but I feel like
Mhm.
that's the case with journalism because a lot of us are looking for experiences that we just didn't get in undergrad. Like, we're not necessarily trying to make a leap in our career where,
Mhm.
you either, like, didn't have journalism in undergrad to study or you didn't have broadcast to study, or maybe you wanted to get more experience with sports journalism. Like, all
Mhm.
these are things that you kind of need experience in when you're going into the field. But if you didn't get that in undergrad, then, like, the next best chance is, like, really grad school. So I feel like that's kind of the difference with, like, a master's in journalism versus a master
So many other.
or something like that. Like, we're not, like, trying to, like, make a leap in our career. We're just trying to, like, get the actual experience we need to get into the industry.
Exactly. No, I love how you put it, and maybe to even give us a little boost in terms of when it comes to applying for jobs and finding those positions. So I 100% agree with you there. But I do want to ask, because I'm sure people are curious, tell us a little bit about what you're up to now, what it is that you're doing with your current role. Obviously finished Northwestern last, what was that, 20, we would have been 2024 graduates, and tell us what you are up to now.
Right now, I'm in the PAGE program at NBC. It's an early career rotational learning and development program at NBC where we're basically 50% of the job is ambassadorship. So we're working the different shows at NBC, like The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, Late Night with Seth
Mm-hmm.
Meyers, Saturday Night Live. We're giving tours of the building that go over the history and like what the studios look like and the different types of shows that we tape there at 30 Rock. And then the other 50% of the job is our rotation. So we do 3 different rotations in different parts of NBC. They give us like a list of rotations that we're able to pursue or express interest in. My first rotation was with the news group communications team. And coming into the program, I said in my interview that I know I have a passion for news. I want to stay in news, but what I'm looking for is opportunity to see the parts of news that I've never explored before. I've
Mm-hmm.
with Dateline, we did local news in Chicago, a little bit of nightly news in LA, but maybe I don't want to necessarily be in a newsroom. Like there's NBC News marketing, there's the news group communications team,
Mm-hmm.
MSNBC, the Today Show, like all of these different departments within NBC News that I hadn't explored. So coming into the program, I told them like I want to see the sides of news that I haven't been able to explore before, and they did exactly that. They put me with the news group communications team, definitely more corporate. most of the role was keeping the SharePoint site up to date, helping with our biweekly newsletter that went out to all of the newsgroup staff, finding creative ways to keep the staff involved with one another. And
Hmm.
so it was great for kind of seeing like the HR behind the scenes side of like
Yeah, kind of a
the
side that you
newsgroup
never
business.
necessarily would have been exposed to without this program.
Yeah, exactly. And great experience. My manager was the absolute best. The team was so great. And it did. I think the cool thing about the PAGE program is that you either learn that you do like something or you learn that you don't want to do it anymore.
And
So
that's important. That's
yeah,
important.
exactly. And so while I definitely respected the role a lot, it taught me that I just wanted to be back in a newsroom. It was kind of challenging watching the news break, but not being involved in it. So I walked away from that experience knowing more about the business side of news, but also knowing
Hmm.
that okay, moving forward, I want to do production. And so for my second rotation, that's what they did. They put me with all In with Chris Hayes, which is a show on MSNBC, airs at 8 o'clock at night. And in this role, I was mostly helping with fact checking the script and a lot of the I worked a lot with the booking producers to register guests to come into the building, escort guests from security to the green room to the set. And because it's MSNBC and it's like all politics, we had a lot of really cool guests. Like it was a really great experience.
Hmm.
I met a lot of like these figures that you see on TV or you see on the news, but never like have been like face to face with
Right.
Rocket. Like I thought that was pretty cool. Or we had Zoran Mamdani on, which was also a really cool experience because he like walked in and
Hmm.
even like the people on the street were just like stopping and staring and like shouting his name. So like that was a little bit of a different experience. Or even the governor who was like really cool and friendly to work with. So that was really great. I absolutely loved my experience with
Hmm.
the All In team. I tell everyone that. I think they are some of the smartest, funniest people I've ever had the pleasure of working with. But Friday was my last day. It was very sad to leave, but tomorrow, starting at 8 a.m., I start with the Today Digital team, which I'm super excited about because I think
Hmm.
this is an opportunity to finally like really dive back into that journalism practice. Maybe there might be opportunity for me to write some pieces, just like
Hmm.
diving back into my creative side.
Yeah, yeah. And especially, I mean, this digital social media world, I mean, that's like a whole new entity in itself. So getting to explore with that, I feel like would be so beneficial and maybe even open your eyes or open doors for some more job opportunities in the next few months.
Yeah, and I've never done any sort of work with social. I feel like that's the one thing I've always been a little hesitant to dive into. I'm not exactly
Hmm.
sure why. I consume content on social media. I have never really had a desire to create that content, but that really is how our generation gets their news.
Yeah, that's true.
And that really is the future. And I'm really excited to learn how to take the skills that we've gained in like video and broadcast and apply them to the more social media side and
Hmm.
I see how what things translate and what things don't.
Yeah, because it's really trial and error at this point. I feel like all around the industry, people and local news stations, especially, we're trying to see what works and how people are consuming content because it's not as easy as just taking, what you would see air on your evening news and putting it on social media. Like that's not necessarily, what's working. So that's what we've also been kind of trying to play with because it's uncharted territory. I mean, we're navigating this and kind of seeing, like you said, seeing what works. But I also know that for you, I feel like when people think like journalism or like, oh, you went to do your journalism master's or, oh, you work in TV, like they automatically think you want to pursue the on-air route or you want to be a reporter. But I know that wasn't necessarily the case for you. Like obviously that yes, journalism was something that you were passionate about, but you knew going in that you were pretty set on, I do not want to be on camera. So tell me the career trajectory in terms of, the types of roles you kind of are looking for and what kind of also showed you or like reassured that I do not want to be on air talent.
I This is something I've, like, even talked about with Carla because I was like, "I just don't really feel comfortable with it," and she was like, "I don't think
Mhm,
anyone does." But for me, it just never clicked, like, it was just never
mhm,
something I looked forward to. So grateful I had the opportunity to even try that in our studio at Medill, and then also all of our live shots. Like, I'm glad I had that experience and that practice,
mhm,
and it was fun, but I think what made it fun was, like, doing it with my classmates and, like, trying something new and being in these, like, weird, crazy situations with you all. I think that's what made it fun for me. I don't think I ever would have been, like, super committed to standing in, like, a snowstorm and, like, trying to, like, keep myself composed for a live,
mhm,
like, television audience. Like, I that's not something I desire to do, but I do enjoy being behind the scenes. I did enjoy doing a lot of the camera work and, like, trying to get creative with different angles. So, I think I just found a lot more comfort and excitement behind the scenes in the control room. Like, even with the all-in team, like, I loved being in the control room. I think
mhm.
it's such an exciting environment to be in, and it's completely different from what's happening on set. Like, on set, what you see on TV, everything is all, like, nice and pretty, but in the control room, that's where they're like, "Okay, what's
Yeah,
happening?"
it's all nice and pretty because of what's going on behind the scenes.
And I think I like my life a little chaotic, which sounds, like, strange to say. I kind of like being kept on my toes. I think that's what makes
Mhm,
news exciting, like, not knowing the unpredictability of it all. To answer your second question, but your first question about, I guess, the trajectory for someone behind the scenes, I think it really depends on, um, the sort of audience you're looking for. Like, if
mhm,
you're looking to go into local news, like you said, Tegna has a producer in residence program. You can start out as a producer and sort of work your way through the markets if that's what you desire to do. The network news environment, I love working out of a place like 30 Rock. I feel like end goal for me is like on the NBC News side, like I love
mhm.
NBC Nightly News. I love watching the Today Show. Like those shows with like a national television audience, that's what I prefer. And so that does look a little different and that might change, I mean, in the next few years because right now what I know is that a lot of people start out within the company in like a news associate's role or a program, kind of similar to the page program, a researcher position,
Mhm.
a production assistant position. Like those are really the roles I'll be looking for in the next few months. Those like entry level roles that'll sort of get my foot in the door, but also give me that practical experience working with that very specific show.
Right.
And then you typically work your way up the ranks as like an associate producer and then eventually a producer. And I feel like with the network news environment, you kind of are playing the long game, which I'm like very happy to do. So it's yeah, I'd say that's kind of the trajectory, like, you're
What it
starting
looks
in
like in term
a role and you do
Mhm,
have to kind of work your way up versus if you're looking to go into local news, you're likely gonna have to just, like, start out as, like, a producer in a local news market.
mhm, and just work your way from there, yeah. So, I remember after we graduated from Medill, you were applying for a lot of similar positions, but, you were trying to figure out what that next step was for you. So, what made you decide to look into the page program? I mean, it's great that obviously you were accepted to be a page, but what kinda drew you to a one-year rotational? Was it you were looking for more experience, you wanted to be exposed to more things? I'm curious, what kinda drew you there?
Yeah, so I think initially you get these little job alerts about these roles where they're hiring one person, but I realized pretty quickly that lots of people are unemployed, lots of people are looking for that exact same role. And
Mhm,
so I felt a lot more comfortable applying for rotational programs where I knew they'd be hiring a cohort of people. And that probably means they're also receiving more applicants,
mhm.
but it brought me some comfort knowing that they're not just taking one person and then ghosting everyone else. So that was one thing. And then I did apply to the CNN News Associates program. That application came out around the same time that the Page program application came out. I was scheduled to do my interview for the CNN News Associates a few days after I had received my offer phone call from the Page
For the
program.
Page program?
And once I started receiving like interview invites, I told my parents, like, I'm probably going to take whatever the first job that comes my way is. And I'm just going to trust the process with that and trust that whatever I
Mhm.
get accepted into is what I was meant to do.
Mhm.
I think that they were rooting for me to go to DC, which is where the News Associates program was based out of, solely because they don't like New York. And I had told everyone that I'd never ever moved to New York.
Mhm.
But after I got the offer from NBC, I canceled my CNN interview, so I don't even know, like, where that would have taken me. But I felt very confident with that decision because, 1, I had interned with NBC before. I'm gonna start that over.
Yeah, go ahead. You're fine.
I had interned with NBC before,
Mhm.
and I knew that I liked the work culture even from the West Coast, or I did the Olympics that summer as well, and I had nothing but positive experiences. At the Olympics, I met a
Mhm.
lot of people who did work out of 30 Rock, and, they all said that they loved the building, had so much fun working out of the building. And then the other thing that drew me to the Page program was that it wasn't limited to news, like editorial production roles. I knew that if I wanted to, I could explore marketing or publicity or
Mhm.
maybe even venture outside of news and see where else that newsroom experience could benefit me, maybe like in late night television or like Peacock, like that's up and coming as well. So that's what drew me to the Page program, knowing that there was just so much more opportunity to kind of explore the creative sides of the media industry outside of news.
Mhm.
So I was, like, super happy to go through that process, and when I got in, it kind of just confirmed, like, "Okay, I'm more than
This
happy
is
to move
where
to New York."
Yeah, this is where I was supposed to be.
I can't say that if it were any other company, I would have been, like, enthusiastic about moving to New York, but because it was a company I had experience with and I had connections in, I think that helped me with the idea of, like, moving across the country to a city I had only been to, like, once in my life.
Yeah, that had to be definitely reassuring because of all of those previous experiences that you had had with NBC, like you said, the internships and the network that you'd kind of already built there. I feel like in a way it was almost like a second master's program, but except you're being paid and you're in New York City. So it just kind of further gave you that exposure before you really entered the first year of your career. So it was like almost kind of setting you up to like keep learning and kind of keep taking all of this stuff in to be like, okay, what type of positions am I going to be looking for once it comes time, once this next year is up, which is the point that you're almost at now. With this year, I mean, time has flown by. There have been a lot of transitions for you, a lot of changes, a lot of unknowns, like you said, moving across the country and, just so many things that have come with that. But also this Page position being it's pretty demanding. I mean, from our phone calls and you talking about your 7-day work weeks and all this overtime. And I'm like, girl, do you have a life? Like,
Yeah.
so I know that was a challenge for you, but how did you kind of navigate having a work-life balance and just kind of keeping your sanity when, I mean, 7-day work weeks, that's a lot.
I think what makes it fun is the fact that I am in a cohort of people who are all in the same phase of life as me, who are all around
Mhm.
my age. I think we're all 22 to like 25, 26, I don't know, 27.
Mhm.
But like I said, we're all in the same phase of life. And having 100 something coworkers, because there's about 4 cohorts at a time. So
Mhm.
my cohort is about 20 something people. I don't know. I don't know the exact numbers, I guess.
Mhm. But you're all going through the same thing
Yeah.
together.
And we're all so like-minded. Like everyone is so ambitious and talented, but in a non-competitive way. I think
Mhm.
uh, that's like a one of my favorite things about the program. Everyone is really in their own lane. So there's no need to like feel like you're competing with anyone.
Mhm.
You're in this environment where everyone truly is so supportive of you and everyone really does like each other. I think that makes showing up to work so much easier. I could be at home, and if I'm not doing anything that day and someone really does need cover, like, sure,
Mhm.
like, I'll go 30 minutes. I'll do the 30-minute commute into work and, see all my friends. I
Yeah.
mean, there's, like it's fun. The program really is fun. You never know, like, what you're gonna get to do. You never know who you're gonna get to see. Um,
Mhm.
and, the building itself is just nonstop, like, excitement,
Mhm.
entertainment, television. So, if I was doing some ordinary, like, office job where I'm just, like, sitting and typing at a computer, I probably would hate
You would
going in.
not be happy.
Yeah, but if
Yeah.
I'm in 7 days a week, that means that there's a show happening or,
Mhm.
like, there's an event happening. So,
Right.
like,
Well, also you're a little weekend tour guide too at NBC, right? So you'd be taking people around the studios and
I think the main question I always get asked about the tours is, "Oh my god,
Mhm.
like, is it boring? Is it a lot?" But, like, never it's kinda similar to journalism in the sense that you just meet so many people from all walks of life. You're learning
Mhm.
so many different stories and you're connecting with them. And I feel like that's what I like about the tours. Everyone coming on the tours are so excited to see the building. They're so excited to meet you. I've never had a bad experience because everyone's coming in with positive energy. And a lot of the times they're tourists. So they're coming in from across the world with their own stories about
Yeah.
or they wanna see this set or when they first watched this show, and so it's just you really never know who you're gonna meet, and it makes the job just so much easier when you're giving a tour to people who are genuinely so excited to be there.
No, that's really cool because like you said, you're meeting people from all different walks of life and they're coming to you for the tour and you're getting to not only, connect with them, but just share your experience and such a cool place with them as well. Are there some cool fun facts you can tell us about NBC? A
Uh,
tour, like if I were on a tour, what would you tell me?
oh, you gotta pay for that.
Oh, okay, okay. This is exclusive. Okay, give me a little something that won't come at a cost then.
I mean, one of the first events that we got to work as pages when we came in January was the SNL 50 homecoming concert.
Oh, that's so cool.
And, we were really just working as seat fillers.
Mhm.
Whenever there's, like, a live event, every seat has to be filled. So whenever someone would leave the audience and go on stage, we had to kind of, like, sit in their spot. But it was just, like, the most exciting event. I mean, it was a concert and, like, Miley Cyrus was
Mhm.
performing and Post Malone performed and Robin and, like, all of these other, like, mega stars.
That is so cool.
You're sitting in an audience of, like, their peers and, like, other people
Mhm.
as, like, writers or producers, and so it's just, like it was, like, nothing but good vibes. It was so much fun, and I think that was the moment I was like, "Whoa," like, I just moved to New York, and,
Mhm.
I have this really cool, exciting job, and this is just I haven't even been here for a month, and, like, this is the first thing that they have us doing. It was exciting.
Yeah, well, I hear you get some five-star reviews, so if anyone is ever in New York City and they wanna come to NBC and get a tour, Kennedy,
The
put in a
Kennedy
good word.
Yeah.
Kennedy Hewitt, though, not to be confused because I know there's a bunch of Kennedys in your
Yeah,
cohort.
there are a bunch of Kennedys, but if you get a tour with both of us,
Mhm.
that's even
That
better.
doubles the experience. Okay, noted. So aside from the long hours, and I know you said you really made the most of that, and just having, your people kind of surrounding you, you all got through it together. The period of time before you got accepted into this program, you were just kind of like applying for things and kind of trying to see, what's going to be my next steps. Obviously, like you said before, you ended up right where you were supposed to be. But was there ever a period of time when you were just kind of like questioning, like, geez, like this job search, like, what am I going to do? Like, there's so much uncertainty. Like, you like, am I qualified? Like, why am I not getting accepted? What was that period of time for you? You just graduated, you're ready to enter the workforce, but, you're not necessarily getting, I guess, the interviews or the responses that you're hoping for. But I always say rejection is protection. So all of those other positions just weren't meant for you.
I think after high school, like, getting rejected from, like, the schools that I had dreamt of, that's when I kind of learned, okay, like, that just wasn't meant for me. So,
Hmm.
coming into the job hunt, I knew that I might feel like similar experiences, but I just kept telling myself that I'm not gonna be unemployed forever. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. It might take a few months, but it's not gonna be a forever thing unless I'm not applying for jobs. So
Hmm.
I think that kept me going, like, even through the different rejections, and some of them I feel like I can laugh about.
Can we talk about any of those?
Um, that's okay.
That's a story for another time.
Story for another time. Um, but yeah, like I think the one thing I kept repeating to myself is that you're not gonna be unemployed for forever.
Mhm.
Yes, you're being rejected from this job, yes, you're being rejected from that job, but at the same time, every single time I applied for a role or was rejected from a role, there was another role to apply for. And so I think that kept me going. I think I would have felt a lot different if I was applying and being rejected and there was nothing else to apply for. But
Mhm.
there was always
Mhm.
something to apply for. So that
Right. What do
always
they say when one door
oh,
closes, another one opens, right?
yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly what happened for you. So you ended up right where you were supposed to be. So I guess now you're finishing up your final rotation starting Monday, right? You'll head into your next 3-month rotation. And then you'll be approaching, you'll be time to start applying again, full time positions. So what are you kind of hoping for your next steps? You've gotten this 1-year rotational program that's introduced you to so much. What are your hopes post page program?
I don't know. I honestly haven't really thought about it, which is like really silly because I feel like I've always been the kind of person who struggles to live in the moment. I'm always
Hmm.
thinking about what's to come, what's going to happen in my future. But the beauty in this program is that they really force you to be present and stay in the moment. And so it's like hard for me to think about, oh, in 4 months, like, I hope I get this kind of job or I hope I get that kind of job. Tomorrow, I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm getting this new experience and I hope I get to do this and I hope I get to do that. But I think that going into the job hunt, we get like a 3, 4-ish month grad period where the priority is like applying for jobs while also doing our ambassadorship.
Hmm.
And um I not gonna say for certain that, like, I'm gonna get a job in those 4 months, but when I left Medill, I didn't start seriously applying for jobs until I was at home in Los Angeles, and I was very intentional about that. I didn't want to be, like, 1 foot out of Chicago and 1 foot, like, in another city, like, I wanted time
Yeah.
to go home and reset. So I moved home end of August, like, early September, got my wisdom teeth taken out, which also took me out for, like, a week or
I
so.
remember that.
Um and I think I'm getting my timeline confused, but I feel like I heard back from this job around, like, was it November?
I think, yeah, I think it was because he visited me close to, it was before Christmas, but it was like, right by the holidays.
Yeah, and so I'm not very good at math, but, like, that's less than 4 months. So and, there were other job opportunities, like, still kind of coming my way that I, like,
Mhm.
walked away from once I got this role. And so, again, like, I don't know for certain I'll get a job by, like, June or whenever my cutoff is, but, I mean, it's, like, happened before. It's happened for other people before, and so, I feel like I can't even, like, stress about the job hunt because something's gonna come my way, and if it's not in 4 months, maybe it'll be in 5, maybe it'll be in 6, like, none of that is, like, gonna destroy me.
Mhm.
I feel very confident that I'll get a job, and that's really all that I can ask for, and I also feel very confident that whatever job I get will be the job that I was meant to have. Like, I never thought I'd be a page, or I never thought I'd go to Medill, but, I mean, none of those were things that I had, like, dreamt of doing or, like, saw for my
Mhm.
future, but they happened, and I wouldn't change it for the world, and I'm sure whatever job I get after this program, I'll feel the exact same way.
I love that mindset, and it's kind of the mindset that you have to have going into such a transitionary period of your life. Trusting the process and knowing that the next step or the next opportunity, the next career opportunity, it will present itself to you. It'll all work out, and you'll know that where you end up is where you're meant to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. The PAGE program is very competitive. I know each year, they have thousands and thousands of applicants. And I'm sure maybe someone listening out there may be in a position that you or I once were when they're trying to figure out their next steps, maybe coming out of undergrad or coming out of maybe a year off, or, they're just looking for different opportunities out there. And a lot of those applications, those types of things are open right now. What advice would you give to someone who wants to get into a program like the PAGE program, but they may feel intimidated or they may just feel like not confident in themselves and their abilities? What advice do you have for them?
No one wants to hear this, but be yourself. Like, I feel like that's the worst advice, but at least for my program, it rings true. Everyone really is in their own lane. I have a hard time believing that most programs are looking for people who are carbon copies of each other. But I think that if you are authentically yourself and you know how to tell your story very well
Mhm.
and communicate your intentions and your long-term goals, then if it's meant for you, it'll happen. If it's not, then something else will come your way.
As cliche as that may sound, be yourself, but we authentically bring our own lived experiences and our own perspectives, to these interviews, to these tables that we're at. And, no one can tell your story better than you. So just, honing in on that, but also honing in on your own skills and abilities and the things that you're good at. That will sell it. So if that, like you said, if that position is for you, great. And if not, the next best thing will come along for you.
Yeah, I
So,
was telling someone else that the other day. No one is going to have like the same experience as you. So if you are telling your experience and you're telling it accurately, then that alone should be enough to set you apart. I feel like every time we look for advice from older people, they're just like be the best in the room. Be the most creative in the room. Industry is filled with the best of the best and the most
mhm.
creative. It's not enough to say like, "Oh, I wanna be the best. I wanna be the most creative." Like, everyone's gonna start somewhere. So, most of the time, you're not gonna be the best, and you're not gonna be the most creatives.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's okay.
oh, and put your best foot forward. Go through your application, read it 2, 3 times, make sure there's no typos, make sure it's concise. Yeah, just put your best foot forward, but also be yourself. So and if that doesn't work, then it just wasn't for you.
Yeah, and that's how you have to look at it, right? You can't sit and harp on what could have been, what should have been, what you wish, because at the end of the day, you got to face reality and work with what you got and work with the opportunities that will present themselves to you. So I think it's as simple as that. But I know it can be, easier said than done, but you do have to just accept the fact that all things, as much as you may want it to be one way, all things aren't always going to work out the way you expect them, the way you try to plan them, and you just kind of gotta go with it. I hope that's not too harsh, but
That's exactly it. Most things don't work out the way you want them to. You can try as you can put I don't know, you can be as ambitious as you'd like to be.
mhm.
You can practice as much as you'd like, you can try as hard as you can, and if it wasn't meant for you, it still won't be for you, and that's fine because something else will be. I mean, Kennedy Core is saying that, "I don't wanna do something, I would never do something," and that's exactly what happens.
The exact opposite. I'm never gonna live in New York City.
I'm never gonna live in New
Just
York.
kidding.
Months later, "Oh, here I am." So and it happened for the best, and I'm, like, very
Mhm,
content with that, but moving forward, now I know, okay, well, really never say never because even if it sounds
mhm,
like it's a choice, you still might have to make the choice to do that thing.
mhm. Yeah, no, I get that, I get that, and speaking of living in New York City, I know we talked on it a little in the beginning, but I mean, growing up in LA, then living in Chicago, now you're in New York City, the way things are looking, you're gonna be there for a minute, so how has this year been? Yeah,
I think the
it is nothing like LA, I know that.
and I feel like I have this conversation so much because the first thing people ask you, like, when you're giving a tour, "Where are you from?" "I'm from Los Angeles." "Whoa."
Yeah, why are you here?
Like, how's the transition?
Yeah,
Crazy, right? And I'm like, yeah, it's definitely an adjustment. I mean,
mhm,
people say all the time, LA is like so much slower and everyone is so relaxed. And here in New York, it's just a lot more intense and a lot more like
and hustle and bustle type,
that.
yeah.
And I mean, like I said before, I kind of like the fast pace. I walk pretty fast. It's definitely different, but I do like how easy it is to get around. I take the subway everywhere. Even in Chicago, I didn't take the subway like that. I think I took the bus more than I took the subway. But yeah, I think the subway, like public transit helps.
Mhm.
Moving here in the winter, I think also helped because I kind of I like moved here when it was cold, so now I feel like I can do anything
Yeah, that's true.
and I'm prepared for the cold. Also living in Chicago.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like that kinda set you up. If you went from LA straight to New York now, like, I think that would've been a harder transition for you if Chicago definitely kinda prepared you for New York City in a way, just weather-wise being from LA.
And then also like public transit wise, like I'll be honest, I'm from Los Angeles. I've never like been on a bus, I've never been on a subway. Chicago taught me all those things as silly as it sounds. It taught me how to use the bus. It taught me how to understand, all the different directions, what the signage meant, and so, like, I'm really grateful for Chicago for that, and then I was, like, thrown into this program of, like, 100 other people my age, and then also, like, people I met in Chicago or people that I knew growing up connecting me with their friends in the city.
Mhm.
All of that really helped. All of them really helped to help me adjust to New York City, and, they've made it so that I can see myself in this city. I'm a little hesitant to say long term, but for the next few years.
Yeah, you've found your community, you have friends. I think that's the biggest thing, having people in your new city. Because I was gonna ask you, having pretty much all of your family be across the country, back home in LA, that can be hard to not have those people right there with you, but it seems like you've built a new support system, you've made new friends that have made this transition so much easier for you.
Yeah, and I mean, living so far away from family is the hardest thing ever. I hate that I live so far away, and it's gotten to the point where going home is so hard because I know I have to go through the whole goodbye crying thing
Right.
at the airport.
Right. Like, I don't know when I'll see you next, but
Yeah, and so, I mean, that sucks, it's always going to suck, and I feel like it's even harder being in New York because it is so much further away than Chicago.
Mhm.
The flight from LA to Chicago was about 2.5 hours, like, so manageable. New York is oh my god, that is a long flight. It's, like, 6.5 hours, and, it's just long.
Mhm. And it's a long, I mean, you need a day just for traveling, like.
And that's been, like, the hardest part about, like, taking time off, like, I also have to factor in the fact that it's gonna take me so long on the flight to get home, and then I need
Mhm.
another day just to come back to New York.
Right.
Uh,
Right. So 2 days just for traveling, and then it's like, okay, we want time to actually be home too for a few days, so.
and then, I mean, the time difference as well, like, you want time to adjust,
Mhm.
it's, like, the hardest thing, like, coming home and then coming back to New York.
Yeah, I can
One
only
day
imagine.
one day I will move home and I will just stay there.
You'll stay put.
Will stay back. I New York again is temporary. I'm saying that, but watch me, like, live here forever.
For like, "Oh, just kidding, just kidding."
Yeah. The goal is that I can eventually move back to Los Angeles and be with my family.
Mhm. Those are the people you wanna, your friends you can always go and visit, but having your family by you is
And
important.
friends are gonna move all over the place as well. I feel like we've learned
Mhm.
this in our early 20s, like, post-grad. My friends are all over the place.
Same.
Like, I feel like I have maybe, like, 2, 3 friends left in Los Angeles that I grew up with or that I went to college with. Some people went back home, some people moved different places to cities I'd never live in. Some are in New York, some are leaving New York. I have a friend who just moved to London, which is, like, so exciting.
Wow.
But, like, these next few years, everyone's gonna be all over the place, like, we're gonna have
Mhm.
to visit each other.
Exactly. Just keep
Yeah.
right. We'll get something on the calendar. I know we're due for another visit, so we gotta get something on the calendar and make it happen. So I do wanna ask, what kinda keeps you grounded, with the fast-paced city that you're now in and, working a lot. I know it's almost over, but, what do you things do you like to do for fun? And what just kinda reminds you like, "Okay, I'm on track, start my career." What all those things, what keeps you grounded?
Yeah, that's, like, always the hardest question I get because I spend so much time at work. I mean, even, like, before this program, like, in school, I was just kind of all over the place between, like, my, like, sorority responsibilities and my school
Mhm.
responsibilities and my internship. I mean, everyone always loves to ask, like, "What type of things do you do for fun?" And I always, like, work. But I think that's what I'm, like, most excited about moving forward because I am being so much more intentional about taking that time for myself and exploring things that do excite me, especially living in, New York City in my neighborhood. I'm trying to find the coffee shops I like,
Mhm.
where's my favorite bagel located? Going on walks in the park. There are 2 really nice parks by me. There's a river by me, and then also just the things that make me happy. I love to get my nails done. I, love shopping for candles. I'm, like, trying to decorate my apartment a little bit more. Like, those are the little things that are starting to really excite me,
Mhm.
and give me something to look forward to outside of work. So, I keep flowers in my apartment now.
Who
Um,
is she?
yeah, I like buying photo frames, and I have all of these, like, photos from my disposable camera that
Mhm.
I have just, like, sitting there collecting dust. I have 2 more disposable cameras that are waiting to be developed as well. Those are all, like, the things that excite me, but definitely, spending more time alone, exploring the city,
Hmm.
exploring all that it has to offer, going to dinner, I love a dinner. Um,
Yes.
and I'm also trying to watch more movies. I feel like so many of my friends are big, like, moviegoers, and I've never been, like, a theater movie person, but there are so many films coming out that everyone's been talking about, and I kinda wanna be a part of that discourse, so
Yeah, you're going to have something to contribute to the conversation.
exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, as we kind of wrap things up, this podcast is all about talking with people about where they're at in their lives and their careers, and to be able to help or inspire other people who may be able to relate to wherever you're at. So, my final question for you, as you look around at your life right now, working at NBC, living in New York City, you just turned 24, and just balancing it all, but also figuring it out. Where do you feel that you're at?
I'm, in a phase of life where I finally just feel present. I'm, like, focused on the present. I'm living in the present. I'm very happy with the present, and that's so different than a few years ago where I was just always thinking like, "Oh, where am I gonna be next year or the year after that?"
Hmm.
Like, I don't really care where I'm gonna be in the next few months because I know that it's gonna work out the way it should. The experiences that I'm living through now in the present are so fun and so exciting, and so I finally feel like I'm just, like, really connected with where my feet are and, what's happening around me, so, um, uh, I'm glad that I had that shift in mindset, and I'm, like, excited to see, like, where it takes me moving forward.
Oh, I love that. And I've loved just knowing you, these 2 years. I've seen so much growth in you and just pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, trying new things. That's amazing to see. And I'm so excited for you and all of your next steps. I can't wait to see where you end up. And I'm so thankful that you were willing to come on and kind of share your experiences and share some advice and insight for people who may resonate with where you're at.
Yay! Thank you.
Thank you for coming on, Kennedy.
Anytime, Taylor.
That was my conversation with Kennedy. I loved hearing her perspective on building a career in journalism while balancing the intensity of life in New York City. Her story is such a reminder that growth comes when we step out of our comfort zones, and we have to find confidence within ourselves. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow Where You At wherever you listen to your podcast so you don't miss out on future conversations. And as always, keep asking yourself the question at the heart of every show: where you at?